Okay, now we're going to look at theorem 6.6, which tells us if we have three or more lines that are parallel, then we know that it cuts it proportionally. And I'm going to do a little bit different than the book or the slides do it, but we'll understand both ways. First of all, we have to show that HC, GD, and FE are parallel. If we look, angles 1, 2, and 3 are congruent, so that makes the lines parallel because they're corresponding angles. We know this is 150 and this is 300. We know this is 120 and this is an unknown. We'll put X there. We want to know the distance HF, which is the whole thing here. So there's a couple ways you can handle this. I would probably just do 120 over X is equal to 150 over 300. And if you notice, 150 and 300 have that 1 to 2 ratio. If we simplify that, this would be 1 and this would be 2. Hopefully you saw that. So I'd go 120 over X is equal to 1 over 2, and therefore X is equal to 240. That is not your answer, though. We know that this is now 240, so in order to find HF, we would do 120 plus 240, which is 360. Okay? I'm going to show you the way the book does it. The way the book does it is they say, for example, I could say 120 on the bottom here, and on the top I could do these two added together. So it would be X plus 120. And then on the other side, I'm sorry, not X plus 120. Let's call this X. Okay? So then I could say X over 120 equals, where this is the whole thing, is 450. So if it's X over 120, we can say 450 over 150, because we want the 120 and 150 to match, and then the whole thing and the whole thing to match. So you could do it that way as well. I think this way works just as well. So I'm going to show you what they did. Again, corresponding angles are congruent, so those are all parallel. And again, we start out with this, but then we can say that the whole thing over the small part and the whole thing over the small part. So again, we get HF over 120, 450 over 150. They get the answer a little bit quicker. They get 360. What we ended up doing was finding out that that X value was 240 and adding them together. So either way will work. And now we're going to look at theorem 6.7, which tells us, and people get confused by this, so please pay attention. If this is an angle bisector, then it actually cuts this segment right here, this side, into proportional parts. Now, what it's saying is basically it's saying QR over QP is equal to SR over SP. So again, this over this equals this over this. Now if you notice, we don't know what QR is. We know the whole thing is 15 and we know this part is X. So how can we represent that length right there? Well, if this is X and this is 15, this is actually 15 minus X. Think of it this way. If this was 8, we'd do 15 minus 8 to get 7 here. So since this is X, it's 15 minus X gives me this right here. So QR is 15 minus X, and QP is 7. This side we have X, and over here we have 13. Cross multiply, we get 13, and then we have 15 minus X. Over here we have 7X. We're going to multiply that out. I don't know what 13 times 15 is. So 13 times 15 is 195 minus 13x equals 7x. We're going to add 13x to both sides. If we do that, we get 195 is equal to 20x. And if we divide both sides by 20, we get x is equal to 9.75. Okay? So again, we know RQ is equal to 15 minus x. Plug everything in. Okay? And here's a couple more showing those last two theorems again. For this one, we can write 15 over 18, and that's going to equal, if we want to know AB, 16 over x. I'm going to simplify this a little bit, make that 5, and that's 6. So we get 5/6 is equal to 16 over x. 5x is equal to 16 times 6, which is 96. And dividing both sides by 5, I guess you could leave it as 96 over 5, or you get 19.2. Okay? And for the second part, again, remember it divides it proportionally, so we can say CD over CA is equal to BD over BA. So that gives us 4 over 4 rad 2 equals 4 over x. I think you can kind of figure out what's going on here. But we get 4x is equal to 16 rad 2, dividing both sides by 4. We get x is equal to 4 rad 2 because 4 and 16 divide unevenly. Okay? And that's it. Thank you.